Hello and welcome. The assortment of Disney Princess media expands through decades of time. That's something I can say that's completely obvious. And it's so interesting because, of course, it's been around for decades, but I feel it wasn't until the last few decades that it really expanded, just like everything else. You had your three original princesses with Aurora, Cinderella, and Snow White, which of course was featured in the game that we just played. Let's go through all of them. I want to see what they say. And then you had a little bit of a lull throughout the decades until the Renaissance with the 90s. Then that's when Pocahontas, Ariel, Mulan, Belle, Rapunzel, Merida, Tiana, everyone. I don't know, am I missing anyone? Belle, Ariel, Jasmine, I'm sorry. That's when they all came in, and that's when it really exploded into its own thing. And you could do so much on Disney Princess products. There are probably millions of Disney Princess products to focus on. And it'd be interesting to look to see what's all there. But today I wanted to focus on what I like to think is a little piece of obscure product history. To give a little bit more of a brief history, during the 90s when the Disney Renaissance was happening, completely unrelated to Disney, there was another tween empire that was taking storm. And Mary-Kay and Ashley Olsen were everywhere. Of course, they started out from Full House.
I'm Jodie Sweeten here with Mary-Kay Olsen. And we've been here at Walt Disney World doing 2 episodes of Full House for a whole week.
Hey Jodie, what's your favorite thing that you did so far?
My favorite thing was Illuminations at Epcot.
My favorite thing was horseback riding.
They were probably the first entrepreneurs, and it really changed history because of the amount of products they put out from that time, probably mid-90s until 2005 or 6. When they became adults, was everywhere and everything.
Mary-Kate and Ashley are everywhere, from Hawaii to the ski slopes in Vail, Colorado, New York City to the great outdoors.
Let's go exploring.
Great idea.
Don't miss out on any of the fun. If you like to sing and dance and have a great time, join in Mary-Kate and Ashley's You're Invited videos.
Just like the announcer said, they were everywhere. They had tons of videos, multiple doll lines, books, a Christmas album, video games. Like, when I say it was an empire, it was an empire. I honestly believe that they were even more famous than Hannah Montana was at her peak. For the most part, that was something completely separate from Disney. And they never really overlapped except for a few times. First one would be, of course, with Full House, when they had their crossover episode where all of the sitcom characters went to Disney World to advertise. And that's something interesting to talk about on its own in a future topic, because there were so many sitcoms that were through ABC, of course, because ABC was bought out by Disney, and you needed that synergy. But besides Full House, Mary-Kay and Ashley basically stayed Mary-Kay and Ashley. And they had their own thing. They had their own company, Dual Star Entertainment, and that was it. But from my collection, and it's so interesting because I feel like this is so obscure, we got a crossover. This is a book called Once Upon a Time with Mary-Kay and Ashley. And this might be one of the only pieces of them collaborating with Disney. I got this book when I was a child. I haven't touched this book since I was a child. And so I knew that I had it. I knew it was a thing, but I did not realize that it's not only a collection of stories, but it's also an activity center. So we got our front here. Once Upon a Time with Mary-Kay and Ashley. They're dressed up as Belle and Cinderella respectively. And then this was during the time when we had our 6 princesses. So Snow White, Cinderella, Belle, Jasmine, Ariel, Pocahontas. Sleeping Beauty's not on this cover. Sleeping Beauty's missing. That's so interesting. But They didn't do anything with Sleeping Beauty. Wait, I'm shocked because normally it was always the original 3 and then it was the 3 new ones. I'm shocked. This is what happens when I talk about a book that I have not read in decades. So starting from the back of the book, we have a recap explaining the collaboration between the Disney princesses and Mary Kate and Ashley, as well as a highlight of all the crafts they have available within the book. I did not realize that this also had activities in it. If I'd known, I could have prepared better and I could have did these activities. But as you'll see as I flip through it quickly before really looking at it, and some of them are really cool, but need a lot of supplies, which I do not have currently. Even though I have a whole wall of supplies behind me, I understand it's not what we have. Opening up this book here, it's so interesting. It's story time. We're having story time right now. At the same time, even opening up the first few pages, if this is not the most capitalistic entity of all time, the 2 biggest brands of the late 90s, Disney and Mary Kate, coming together for this collaboration, especially because, like, if you know the history now and how hard all of these child actors really had to work, it goes without saying that it is a little bit bittersweet, but we're trying to focus on the magic side here, okay? We're gonna be cute and wholesome, but of course you understand that they worked so hard on everything, and it's crazy that they even did something like this. But of course, you know, the idea is here. The idea is here. They're just trying to make a cute little activity center for girls to have fun with, and obviously I was clearly within the demographic because I was a huge Mary Kate and Ashley fan and watched all our movies and, you know, read the books and all that jazz, and was clearly into Disney and the Disney princesses. So obviously this is why I own this, even though it was probably given as a gift. I don't remember this existing otherwise, but I'm happy to have it. As here we go, we have our introduction. So we got our introduction from Mary Kate and Ashley. Then we have a story about Cinderella, and then a craft for Cinderella, Snow White story, a craft for Snow White, the Little Mermaid story, Ariel's craft, and then a Beauty and the Beast story, and a Beauty and the Beast craft, Aladdin story, Aladdin's craft, and Pocahontas and Pocahontas's craft, as we see. It is also interesting that this was copywritten in 1998, and at the time, it's so interesting that they excluded Sleeping Beauty in favor of Pocahontas. I'm happy though to see some Pocahontas love because of course now she's kind of blacklisted for politically incorrectness. I am happy that we did have some merchandising here and, you know, some promotion for her, because regardless or not the story that Disney told was politically incorrect at this moment, Pocahontas is still like a really great princess as a character. So I appreciate her, and I appreciate that we have some love for Pocahontas. So here we go. And clearly we're not going to go through the whole book. I just want to highlight everything because I think this is so interesting. They were born in 1986. So at this time in 1998, they were 12, which of course makes sense. But of course, you know, seeing how they have this whole bio here, it cracks me up as an adult now looking back, because clearly they did not write this. Clearly this was written by some random adults ghostwriting for them. And I really do wonder how much involvement they actually had, or if this was just some random adults writing this, being like, hey, love Mary Kate and Ashley, this is us. It's really not. The cynicalness comes out here. I do like how they have a spotlight on the girls and then our story. Synergy. Actually, I'm really surprised that they did not do more with Disney, honestly, especially with promotion with the Disney parks. I'll have to do more research if I'm wrong, because from what I found briefly, there wasn't too many results. Basically, from what it looks like, we have our bio of them explaining their connection to the princesses and the story, and then the story itself, which it's really cute. I do agree it's cute. Then we have our craft. Like I said, I did not realize this was an activity center. Because we have an activity / craft that goes along with every story, which I do appreciate. It's so nice that we had these fun activities to do to keep being imaginative and creative. I miss that. I know there were so many activity books at the time, and I don't know if it was a more recent thing or if there was a lot of activity books even from like the 60s and 70s, how they compared to that to the 90s. Obviously, this is one of my hyper fixations and niches and interest, but I really do appreciate pop culture, especially children's pop culture from the mid-century to the turn of the century, so like the 50s to the 2000s, because that's when it really started. And that's a whole other soapbox moment that's not related that I could go on a whole tangent. But crafts. So our first one to go along with Cinderella is a magic wand. And as you can see here, we need cardboard, scissors I have, of course, glue I have, of course, a round plastic jewel I do have, but I don't have the wooden dowel, and everything else I do have. So besides the main thing, this would be very simple to do. And I think I do want to come back and do this in a future video, as well as the other ones. But as you'll soon see, the rest of them aren't as simple, especially when it comes to supplies. Continuing onward, the next story they focus on is Snow White. And of course, we have a personal introduction from the twins, both decked out as a princess, of course. Next up is Snow White's craft. So Snow White's craft is, of course, an enchanted mirror. I mean, it makes complete sense, and I'm here for the synergy and the theming. This is what I meant, where, you know, the supplies aren't all everyday products that you would have on hand. You would have to go out and make sure to get these purposefully. For our mirror, you need a mirror, a ruler, fabric and ribbon, a plastic or fabric flower, plastic jewels or beads, and white glue. So once again, I have most things already, but not the mirror, the main object. I think this would be really cute to do though. I like this aesthetic, and this is right here. This is typical 90s crafting. Referencing another brand that didn't really have too much to do with Disney until now. Now they're coming out with princess dolls, so that's topical. Is American Girl Company, and this is one of the crafts they would totally have, because they had a lot of craft books coming out in their time when they were in the peak, which I might still have a couple of them. I'm not sure. Next up is The Little Mermaid, and I really do think their introduction is adorable. I love these Ariel costumes they have. I know that's a whole other rant, but I miss when the costumes Disney officially made were better. They don't make them like they used to. Ariel's craft is a lampshade, but not just any lampshade, a fish lampshade. A magical mermaid lampshade. The idea of it is simple, but once again, I don't have a lamp just laying around to decorate at the moment, which is why I wouldn't be able to do these now. But I love this idea. I know the intention was for kids to already have the items that were plain, so if you had a mirror in your bedroom already, you could just take that mirror and decorate it. Or if you already had a plain white lamp, because at that time that was more traditional, and this would be an easy way for you to decorate what you already have. Our next story featured is Belle's, and again, they look so pretty in these dresses. Honestly, Belle's dress is one of the best princess dresses of all time, and I'm not even a fan of yellow, but it's just so gorgeous. Belle's craft is origami. It is the perfectly beautiful red rose. So this, of course, because all you need is construction paper and green pipe cleaners or green construction paper. I honestly don't even think I have construction paper at this moment. No, I don't. Because obviously you would have during school. Because I know a lot of school projects did use those ingredients and crafts. But I don't have construction paper, not green and red. Because this would be the easiest to do. because it's origami and all you're doing is following these instructions and making origami, and it'll turn into this little rose. And I really love this idea too, because this is something that is the most simplistic. This is even simpler than the wand. It's so much fun looking back in retrospective, because you do realize what the influences were. Because I remember origami was huge, and I don't know if it still is, but I remember it was huge. And I would do origami in school and fold some things. I never was an expert at it, but it was an activity that I remember doing a lot. And that just shows that the Asian and Japanese influence was really at its all-time high in the 90s. I don't remember if I've talked about that before, especially when I covered the few Studio Ghibli films, but it wasn't until the 90s where we really had an explosion of Japanese culture, which I am forever happy about, because clearly I'm a huge fan of it. But I think it's so interesting looking back at trends in history. In the 60s, you had the British invasion, but no one talked about how we had a Japanese invasion in the 90s and Y2K 2000s era, because it was a lot more subtle at that time. It wasn't bands, it wasn't music, it was the products, it was video games, it was origami, and movies. Anime finally came through and was so much more accessible to our Western audience. We had a lot more video games that were from Japan, with Nintendo and Animal Crossing and even Dance Dance Revolution. I could go on. But that will be something, again, to talk about in the future. Looking back at this, it really is living history for such an obscure little book here. It's cute what they did with their Jasmine outfits. I do like that they have their own little magic carpet that they're sitting on. We have Aladdin and Jasmine's craft, which is our Magic Genie surprise bottle. Honestly, you can see the trends, because this is very 90s. There was so much mosaic type of pieces that were found all over. It was definitely a sub-aesthetic of the time. But again, I also really like this idea. And for the most part, the supplies that you need aren't that crazy. Colored tissue paper, a small plastic bottle, or you can buy one at a craft shop like we did. I really like this idea though. I think this is really cute. And again, I would love to do this in the future. Finally, we have Pocahontas, which I think is really cute. Unfortunately, I know, without being controversial, it's a hard topic, because you obviously want to give respect to the indigenous people and the communities and honor them. And so of course I know that's also why she kind of fell in the background and is not featured as much. But I wish that she still had the respect, because I think as a character it's important to honor Pocahontas. And I love Pocahontas, but I understand that it is a bit more controversial, unfortunately. For Pocahontas craft, it's a dream catcher. I've had a couple of dream catchers for most of my life, and I know it's just a comfort item, but I really appreciate having them. And I think it's a cute little idea. I think this is interesting to make a dream catcher in this way, because you need plates, marker, a piece of oat tag or other heavy paper, 2 pieces of felt, choose 2 different colors as large as the largest plate, scissors, a hole punch, yarn, beads, glue, and feathers. So this one, of course, looks like it is the most involved, but that overall is the book, because then it's advertisements for Mary Kate and Ashley's. And again, like I said, they were an empire. They had so many books, so many movies. Oh, apparently win a trip to New York City to see the New York City Ballet and meet Mary Kate and Ashley. Or Coleman's camping gear. Did anyone win this? What was that like? I miss all the contests. Wait. I'm so confused. Wait, can you see a small print here? Apparently, this contest was only open to US citizens except for Florida. Why was Florida excluded? Like, I understand that Disney World is in Florida, of course, but Mary Kay and Ashley aren't. So why were they excluded? I feel bad for all the Florida kids that weren't able to enter. Not like anyone would win, but that's confusing. Why? That just seems like such a fun contest to win. But I feel bad for all the Florida kids that weren't able to enter. Oh, that's a shame. It's a 20-year-old contest. It's like over 25 years old, this contest, but I feel bad. This is what happens. And then of course, there are CDs that they also, because they were everywhere. And then of course, because this was pre-internet, at this point the internet did exist, but it was still dial-up for the most part. So they always had their fun club. And I remember every single VHS that I had for Mary Kay and Ashley would be advertising this before the video, like their main film.
Want to know a secret? Join Mary Kate and Ashley's Fun Club. Get a behind-the-scenes look at Mary Kate and Ashley and get great stuff. Photos, posters, surprise gifts, and their funzine. Ask your parents and have them call 888-808-CLUB or send your payment to Mary Kate and Ashley's Fun Club, 859 Hollywood Way, PMB 275, Burbank, California 91505.
But that's our book. Like I said, this is so interesting because it's such a time capsule of history. And I feel like this is so obscure. Please let me know if you remember this and if you have your own copy or had a copy when you were growing up. I just feel like this is so unique. Mary Kay and Ashley had their own gigantic brand, and the few times that they did work with Disney were very rare. I did see that there was another book that they did where they went to Walt Disney World, and I would love to find that in the future, just to at least read it, because I don't know if it's out of print, but I'm sure I can find it very cheap used if it is something common. I definitely want to come back when I can gather all the supplies and make all of these crafts. So just think of this as like part one, and then later on we'll have a part two. But at least I'm able to highlight everything and show off a little bit of the stories, the book itself. Let me know if you did read this or if there was any other interesting, unique books similar to this that you remember. I always love finding this stuff. I think because Disney is such a huge brand, there's so many unique different things that kind of fall away and fall into obscurity. And I love being able to go back and rediscover them in a way, or discover them for the first time, and hopefully help keep them preserved a little bit in history. We shall continue with this in the future. We'll come back when I can get everything ready supplies wise. Until then, we still have some more princess content coming up for this month. And as always, I hope you have a magical day, and I will see you real soon.